Carol and I are regular visitors to Mount Desert Island in Maine. Mount Desert Island is also known as MDI. MDI is where Acadia National Park is. We were first attracted to MDI as a vacation destination. We liked the rugged Maine coast and beautiful beaches. We enjoy hiking, exploring the villages, and doing general touristy things. In this series of shows on MDI, we are going to feature different activities you can do on MDI. The first show is an overview of MDI and some of the activities available to you and your family. There are plenty of things to do at MDI, both inside and outside. For outside activities, we hike all through the island. We go to the woods, the beaches, cliffs, marshes, tidal pools, and of course the peaks. We find great places to visit, including gardens, marinas, beaches, small museums, and many displays and much more throughout MDI. There are plenty of great places to eat along a full spectrum of venues. You can take boat cruises to various places around the island and offshore. We also find plenty of rocks, geology, birds, marine life, and other wildlife to look at. Mount Desert Island is about 279 miles from Littleton, Mass. Google provides a travel time of 4 hours and 23 minutes from Littleton. It is a relatively straight shot of Route 495 to Route 95. I think of it as head north to Bangor, Maine, and take a right. Part of the fun of going to MDI is getting there. You travel through some varied and dramatic coastline that can lure you in for days. If you like to explore, the Maine coast has many interesting and varied places to explore. Maine has 3,478 miles of coastline, more than California, and over 5,000 miles of coast if you include all the islands in Maine as well. Only Florida and Louisiana, which is mostly bayou, have more miles of coastline. The Maine coast changes dramatically as you drive north. You can think of the Maine coast as divided into 3 sections. Starting from the south is the southwest coast, called this since that part of the coast is southwest of the northern coast of Maine. The southwest coast has 5 headlands which protrude into the Gulf of Maine. Separating the headlands are wide beaches. The widest beaches are Algonquin and Wells and Old Orchard Beach. Once you get to Portland, the character of the Maine coast changes dramatically as you head northeast. From Portland and Casco Bay north to Penobscot Bay, you are in the mid-coast area. The coast becomes very ragged in appearance. There are long bays that are nestled between peninsulas, which tend to be parallel to one another. Some beautiful areas we have been to along the mid-coast are Bailey's Island and Damariscotta. I hope this year we go to Pemaquid Point to check out the lighthouse and some very interesting rock formations. As you head further north, you enter the down east coast. While the mid-coast has the long peninsulas and bays, the down east coast has broad bays and many islands. The down east coast is rocky with wide bays and rocky headlands. The forested coastline of spruce and fir extends right down to the rocky coast. Mount Desert Island is part of down east Maine. Within New England, down east often refers specifically to Maine, especially the coastal areas in Hancock and Washington counties. Washington County is the easternmost part of the contiguous 48 United States. The origin of the phrase down east is traced to nautical terminology referring to direction rather than location. In the warm months, most suitable for sailing, the prevailing winds along the coast of New England and Canada blow from the southwest, meaning ships sail downwind to go east. As such, the northeastern stretches were said to be down east in relation to major western cities such as Boston. I continually struggle to understand this concept. To my eyes, Mount Desert Island has the shape of an upside-down baseball catcher's mitt. MDI looked much different hundreds of millions of years ago than it does today. The shape or morphology of MDI is the result of numerous geologic forces that have occurred over these hundreds of millions of years. Back then, the continents as we now know them were of different shapes and in different positions than they are in today. I will go over these topics in more detail in the show on MDI geology. In the meantime, let's consider the most recent geologic handiwork that has been done by nature. Approximately 20,000 years ago, the coast of MDI may have appeared similar to the coastlines of many regions of the world today that have glaciers. Enormous glaciers once covered the MDI landscape and extended off the land and onto the continental shelf and into the ocean. The tremendous weight and grinding action of these glaciers shaped the more rounded landscape that we see today. Mount Desert Island is made up of 4 towns: Mount Desert, Bar Harbor, Southwest Harbor, and Tremont. Tremont also has the villages of Bass Harbor, Bernard, Gotts Harbor, Seals Cove, and West Tremont. Southwest Harbor and nearby areas are referred to as the quiet side of the island. If you spend an evening in Southwest Harbor and compare that to an evening in Bar Harbor, you'll know exactly what I mean. The pronunciation of Mount Desert is something a visitor needs to get used to. Many locals pronounce Mount Desert in the French fashion, while others pronounce in the English manner of the noun desert. We have stayed in a few different places on Mount Desert Island. We once rented a tent site which was less than adequate, and that's an understatement. We abandoned that and wound up renting a nice little cottage on Bass Harbor. We were very lucky to find this place at the last minute. We liked the place so much we came back to the same cottage the following year. On other occasions, we have stayed at a motel in Bar Harbor. This puts us in walking distance of the Harbor Walk, restaurants, the town common, and many interesting shops. Sometimes quiet is nice, and sometimes you want access to the action. Whenever I go to a new place, I have to figure out where different things are. For MDI, I recommend your first stop is at the Hulls Cove Visitor Center. You will learn about the various sites on the island and where they are. You can get maps, books, and a park pass. We picked up a senior's park pass for about $10 which gives us lifetime access to all national parks, national forests, and other areas. I then recommend, after you get that pass, you take a ride around the Park Loop Road. This will give you a sense of the park, its views, various pull-offs, and other sights. You will find the views expansive and breathtaking. You will drive past on the Park Loop Road the Sand Beach, Thunder Hole, Otter Cliffs, and many, many other areas. You might want to pull over and take in the views or go for a walk. You can then finish off with a ride up to Cadillac Mountain. Cadillac Mountain is the highest point on the island and the highest point on the eastern seashore of the United States. It rises 1,530 feet above sea level. You will enjoy beautiful 360-degree views. The next shows in this series are going to cover some hikes we have taken throughout the island and surrounding areas. We will also cover boat trips around the island, the geology of the island, and several museums, garden trips, restaurants, and wildlife that we've encountered on the island. I hope you enjoy this series.